Hey guys, thanks for joining. So, who qualifies for PIP? Who gets PIP? So, first it's the named insured. If you own a vehicle in Florida, you're required to have PIP. You should be the named insured. So, I own a vehicle. I drive, I own a car, I have PIP insurance. So, I go through my PIP insurance first. Let's say that I don't own a vehicle. If I don't own a vehicle, I go through my resident relative, a relative that I live with. Okay, same household. Obviously, I live with them in the same household. So I would go through my resident relative. So I have my nephew staying over. He doesn't own a car. He's living with me. He's a resident relative. He would go through. That's because he doesn't qualify here. He qualifies here if he's in a car accident, okay? Now, let's say somebody doesn't have a resident relative. College-age kid living with a roommate, not a relative, so they don't get to go through their PIP. They don't own a car, so they don't have insurance for it. So if they're the passenger in a car, they go through the PIP insurance of the PIP covering that car. Okay, so if there's a policy with PIP somewhere, then they go through that car. If they're the driver or the passenger, let's say a college-age kid's driving his friend's car because his friend's been drinking, he's a designated driver, he hops in the car, they get in an accident. Okay, so he would go through, he doesn't have insurance, he doesn't own a car, so then they go through resident relative. He doesn't live with anybody. That's a relative. Okay, so he goes through the next step, which is the passenger of the motor vehicle. So there's that. Now there's this weird little exception over here. If somebody's a pedestrian, they are on a bicycle, they are on anything without a motor, that's considered a pedestrian by legal standards. Then they go through the car that hit them's insurance, okay? So, just want to clarify. Oh, and then I forgot to go through these, but this statute, 627747, allows insurance companies to exclude specific people from the policy. So I have this person living in my house, but I don't want them on my policy. They're never going to drive my car. I don't want them on my policy because I'm worried they're going to make my rates go up. I'm allowed to specifically exclude them with this law. And then also, if somebody's in my house and they're driving my car without consent, and they should qualify here, but I call the insurance guy and say, no, they were driving my car without consent. I don't know who would do that, but somebody would. Then PIP has a right to deny as well. So that's this statute right here. So this one right here, pedestrians, bicyclists, maybe they're on a scooter that needs to be propelled or can be propelled without a motor or battery or anything like that. All right, if you're watching the other video, a pedestrian. So let's say somebody's walking and they get hit by this gigantic car over here, okay? This is a motor vehicle. They get PIP, okay? First they go through here. So I own a vehicle, right? And I get hit by a car on my walk at night. I go first through through my own policy, right? If that doesn't qualify, go through here. If that doesn't qualify, go through here. And then the last step is then you go through the motor vehicle that hit this person. Just because you're a pedestrian doesn't mean that you automatically go through their PIP. You go through the same steps first, okay? So I just wanted to explain that part. And then let me think for a second what else there is. Okay, so insurance companies, your Ocean Harbors, your Wind Havens, thank God they went out of business. United Auto, man, there's one more I'm forgetting right now. Ocean Harbor, Wind Haven, United Auto. Anyways, the General, I hate the General. They tend to exclude a lot of PIP benefits for this. And what they say is you had somebody living in your house at the time who was a resident relative, but you didn't disclose it on your application, so we're not going to provide you any PIP coverage for that person. Sometimes they do it even when this person's not in the car, okay, they'll deny this person. So I'm driving a car, okay, somebody rear ends me or it's my fault. Remember, it's called no-fault insurance in an accident. And so I go put in a PIP claim. And if I had Ocean Harbor, United Auto, Wind Haven, the first thing that they do, in my opinion, please don't sue me, is they go, oh, let's check out who lives at that house so we can find a reason to deny. Then they start asking, hey, who's this guy? oh, that's my nephew. He's above the age of 15 and he has a valid license, but he doesn't own a car. First thing that these guys do is they want to deny this person for material misrepresentation on the application of insurance. So when you get insurance and you're on the phone and you say, hey, yeah, I walk to work, I drive half a mile to work, and you go through all that stuff, and then usually they have you sign something. Now it's electronically. They're looking for a reason to deny. So this is a big issue with PIP, with those 3 companies that I was talking about, 3 or 4 companies, because they like to look at this. For most people, most insurance, it's a very simple process. But what I'm talking about is slightly different, but it does go to the resident relative, and it's mostly for the application. But we'll talk more about material misrepresentation later on. So that's it. Thanks for joining.